Hey there, this is probably going to be a weird video, but allow me to welcome you to the wonderful city of Gridania, the primary location within the Black Shroud. I thought it might be fun to do a bit of a guided tour of some of the cities in Final Fantasy XIV, the critically acclaimed MMORPG of the millennium, now with expanded free trial. This game has meant a lot to me over the last few years, from providing a sense of consistency between me and a couple of friends to allowing me another space to taste my creativity and self-expression through my character, glamours, housing, and many, many more things. Being able to combine it with something else I enjoy, like making videos or making thumbnails, and just creating makes me happy. So much goes into all of this, and I love it. Sorry for the long-winded intro, but I think I needed to validate this whole thing to myself. Well, let's get started with this tour, shall we? We first find ourselves at the Bloom Badger Gate, the entrance to Gridania from the Central Shroud, or alternatively, the beginning location for your character if you picked one of the starting jobs that begins in Gridania. Those jobs being Conjurer, Archer, and Lancer, but we'll get to those as we move through the city, along with a handful of the other guilds. This is the place where you learn that if you press WU, oh my god, I'm RP walking. Okay, this is my existence now. Gridania was the location in which I began the game, both with my main character here and another from a few years ago, back when I was just testing the game for the first time. It's split into two primary chunks: New Gridania, which we find ourselves in now, and Old Gridania, which we'll be traveling through shortly. Our first stop on this tour is the Adventurers Guild of Gridania, also known as the Roost. The venue within the Roost is called the Carline Canopy. Regardless of which city you begin life in, you'll spend a fair amount of time at the Adventurers Guild early on. This one is operated by Mother Mione. I think I'm saying that right. It's here you'll receive your first set of story quests. Alongside this, the guild functions as an inn your character may use, a location where you can update your glamours, customize your hair, play some mini games, watch past cutscenes, or just sleep. Towards the back of the building, you'll find a balcony that overlooks the Jadeite flood, whose rivers branch out all across the Black Shroud. The winding staircase inside the guild leads to the lower floor, which is where you'll find the city's airship, permitting you travel to the other major cities within Eorzea, once you're of level, of course. Exiting the Roost, just up this little hill here, we find ourselves in Gridania's Aetheryte Plaza. Once you've gotten a good feel for the game and made a little progress story-wise, you'll likely be seeing this particular place a fair bit. It is the central teleporting hub for the city. This is where you'll spawn in at should you teleport to Gridania from any other location. You may also use it as a home point, or set it as a favorite location to reduce teleporting costs. But beware of shady characters in these parts, such as role players and waterfalls. I'm just joking. Up and to the right from the Aetheryte Plaza, you'll find the Archers Guild. When making your character, if you choose the Archer job, this will be your starting guild hall. It's classified as a ranged DPS job that later leads to Bard at level 30, eventually acting as more of a support or utility class. I don't play this particular class much, but it can still be pretty fun. Also, you eventually acquire an instrument to dazzle everyone with. You'll sometimes come across flocks of bards playing music in the more populated areas, like the Aetheryte Plaza. Now, should you fancy yourself something of a digital Scrooge McDuck, just up from the Archers Guild, you'll come upon Gridania's marketplace, the central location for buying any early level gear and items you may need from the various NPC vendors, as well as trading with other players through the market boards. There are several service bells scattered throughout the marketplace, allowing you to summon your retainers. These are your servants, meant to aid you in your quest to become the richest bitch of the wood, or to just act as pack mules for the useless junk you're too lazy to sell. Mine aren't even max level yet after 2 years. Now that's peak laziness. After you realize you've spent your entire fortune on a new wardrobe, you can mosey on up to the West Shore Pier. From the ferryman here, you may enter the East Shroud, or make your way to the Lavender Beds, the former being a thorny hellhole filled with bugs and poison, ironically acting as the location where you can get married. And the latter is for those who wish to call said bugs and poison home, the player housing area for Gridania, should you be fortunate enough to win a house. Just beside the pier, we find the Lancers Guild. Should you be a purveyor of pointy objects and backflips, the Lancer job may just be your calling. Another one of the starting jobs you may select when creating your character. It later evolves into Dragoon upon reaching level 30 and completing the relevant quests. It's a melee DPS job, if you could imagine that. I dabble with this job every now and then, as it's fairly easy to pick up and play. It was the job I chose the first time I ever played the game, and I consider it a solid choice for a beginner. It has the right level of button mashing, combined with the thrilling potential to yeet yourself from existence at a moment's notice. Dragoons essentially act as walking OSHA violations, capable of many great feats, but may need a hand to keep them from the edge. Across from the College of Menial Safety Standards, we have the Centaur's Eye. I'll be honest, I think this is the second or third time I've ever set foot in this shop. The only foot traffic it gets is from the mini Aetheryte just outside. Gridania just hasn't been the same since they put in the freeway. Now, up from here and beside the Lancers Guild, we have the Black Boar Gate. This particular gate doesn't really serve any purpose, but it's here. And if you've noticed, it begins something of a pattern. We began at the Blue Badger Gate and are now at the Black Boar Gate. Each gate within the city is represented by a color and an animal, but more on that later. Crossing over the bridge from the Centaur's Eye, we make our way toward these more narrow paths. On the right is a dead end, reserved more for story purposes, if I remember correctly. We'll be taking the left path here, which leads us into Apkallu Falls. Very wet, very scenic. The primary draw to this location is Jonathas here. You may exchange tokens you receive from achievements to get some past veteran rewards. A couple of mounts, some minions, framing kits, that sort of stuff. Now, both paths from here will lead back out into Gridania, but I think we'll stick to the left path and circle back around a little. We're now crossing the bridge into the outskirts of the Leatherworkers Guild. Our first of two Disciple of the Hand jobs that can be found in Gridania. Don't laugh, that's what they're called. It's home to beautiful armor and people who know how to make things I can't pronounce. Be extra cautious of the ravine that encircles the guild. Down there is where most of the coke deals of Gridania go down. I don't have too much experience with this particular guild, or leather in general, but I think it's important to always keep an open mind to new experiences. Upon exiting the leather domain, we can see the marketplace again on our left, having come full circle. So we're going to go back over the bridge we came from, and now make our way to the Amphitheatre. A lot of the time when there's a seasonal event going on, or some sort of special occasion within the game, you'll be visiting here. I've heard the acoustics are phenomenal. Just across from the Amphitheatre, we have the Moogle Mail for this area. Here, you will sometimes receive various rewards from this small independent games company called Square Enix. Or, alternatively, if you've managed to legally acquire them, gifts and messages from friends. To the left of the Amphitheatre, we have yet another shop. Again, I don't think I've ever really visited here. I primarily make use of the market board, and have unfortunately become far too wealthy to support local business. But it looks like Little John here sells flour. How very specific. Following this path, we come upon the Botanists Guild and local growery. The Botanists Guild is the Disciple of the Land job that may be obtained in Gridania. You will spend your first 50 or so levels of this job picking weeds and presenting them to your Lalafell overlords for judgment. Personally, I prefer fishing, but gathering crafting materials and eventually turning in collectibles for scripts and levels can be pretty fun and at times worthwhile. Escaping from our Lalafell masters, we head toward the only other initial foot exit out of Gridania, and that is the yellow Serpent Gate. Are you seeing the pattern? Just past here, you'll find yourself out in the North Shroud. It's pretty scary out there. There are squirrels, magic trees, and this shirtless old guy who wants to make you ancient weapons of mass destruction. Now, barring my distrust of crafty old men, let's make our way downward toward the Conjurers Guild. This is the job I started with for my current main character here. Conjurer is a healer class that later becomes White Mage. Once you reach level 30 and acquire the appropriate shiny rock, I actually didn't have that much interest in healing at first. I primarily saw myself as a DPS player, but it quickly grew on me, and I played White Mage for some time. Right now, it's one of my only level 100 classes. You also get a unicorn mount by completing the level 30 quest, and at the time I found that very fitting for my character. It's honestly the most straightforward healing class available. So, if you're like me, and a bit nervous to wield the powers of life and death in your hands, it's an easy entry point. A bonus is that as a healer, you will receive all of the commendations and be invited to the exclusive Catgirl house parties. Leaving the healers to their group therapy session, let's head through here back to New Gridania. Down this narrow, seemingly dead-end path, we come upon the White Wolf Gate, and as far as I'm aware, there's no association here with Geralt, and it disappoints me greatly. This is the last of the 4 gates within Gridania, and another that will be inaccessible, at least until you complete a specific quest. Heading back up into the main area of New Gridania, we find ourselves just outside the Adder's Nest. This is the Grand Company for Gridania, and the Black Shroud, one of 3 in-game factions you will eventually be required to join, the other 2 being the Maelstrom from Limsa Lominsa, and the Immortal Flames from Ul'dah. The only differences between the Grand Companies are the armor rewards you can get through them, and the title names for each rank. Functionally, they're all the same, so pick your favorite color, or whichever leader you end up liking. Across the way we have Accorn Orchard. It's here that you'll be taught what emotions are. And by that, I mean how to use emotes. But don't worry, you'll be taught emotions next expansion. Crossing yet another bridge, beside the orchard is the final guild you'll find in Gridania, the Carpenters Guild, another disciple of the handjob, which is what they called me in high school. Anyway, if you fancy yourself good with your hands and enjoy playing with girthy hunks of wood, then maybe give this a chance. It's another job I haven't put too much time into, but I can glue together some early weapons and maybe make a stool or something. We have our last couple of vendors here, one specializing in flowers and gardening materials, which you will eventually forget exists and come back to a completely dried up garden, and the other specializing in various starting gears, should you happen to lose your clothing getting off the wagon. And with that, we're back at the Aetheryte Plaza, which brings us to the end of our little tour of Gridania. I hope you enjoyed this. I think I did. It's something a little different for me. I know I didn't go in depth on much, if any, lore, and didn't regurgitate wiki facts to you, so I hope that's okay. The real hope here was to combine a bunch of different things I love and have enjoyed over the years into something fun or weird or both. And I would consider this a mission passed. If you're still watching, thank you for doing that. I may make more of these, or I may not. There are plenty more cities to cover, I suppose. So I guess we'll see. But thank you for joining me this time round. I hope you have a good night or day wherever you happen to find yourself. Bye-bye for now.